Hey everybody, Rainbow and Lorton here. I just want to come on here and talk about something.
What if everything you thought you knew about a family's life in the wilderness turned out to be a lie? Rain Brown, once the poster child for survival and resilience, now stands accused of something far darker than anyone could have imagined. Her world, once filled with cameras, fans, and praise, is now unraveling in the most shocking of ways. As the Browns face financial ruin, family betrayal, and relentless public scrutiny, the question isn't just whether Rain is innocent, it's whether they can survive the storm that's about to break them. From mortgaged trucks to stolen wildlife photos, threats that hit too close to home, and a reputation being torn apart piece by piece. Rain's fight is no longer just in the courtroom. It's a fight for everything her father built, and for her very future. Stick around because this story is about to take a turn no one saw coming. Just weeks earlier, fans celebrated Rain's radiant Instagram wedding, where she beamed in sun-washed lace beside her tattooed chef beau. But by April 11th, Catherine Raindrop Brown's name glowed in red ink on a booking sheet. First-degree burglary, first-degree malicious mischief, second-degree criminal trespass. What hidden storm could push the scripture-quoting daughter of the late Billy Brown from a forest refuge into a county jail cell? Stay tuned, because the answer seems anything but simple. Long before courthouse steps and mugshots, Rain's world spun around tree rings and river currents. She arrived on a frigid November morning in 2002, the final spark in a brood of 7. Instead of lullabies, she heard chainsaws chewing through cabin beams. Instead of cul-de-sacs, she crawled across slick logs in southeast Alaska's misty fjords. When cameras found the Browns at her age of 11, producers expected raw survival. Instead, they stumbled onto a family's complicated love affair with the wilderness. Alaskan Bush People premiered in May 2014, and Rain's toothy grin became shorthand for innocence. She chopped kindling twice her size, sprinkled every silent moment with quick prayers, and stitched flannel scraps into doll dresses as if every thread deserved a second moonlit adventure. She was the squeaky hinge on a cabin door, a bright heartbeat pulsing against frostbitten hardship. But fame carries a strange weight. Shooting schedules replaced seasons. Privacy evaporated faster than steam off a hot spring. While her peers posted prom selfies, Rain shared footage of hauling elk quarters through sleet. She swore she didn't mind until 2018, when her Instagram caption whispered, "Some days the mud feels ankle-deep in my soul." Teenage tension flared. Requests for makeup clashed with troll attacks accusing the family of faking it. Rumors swirled that Rain might bolt for college, igniting debates between Billy's belief that hardship forged character and Amy's faith that belief conquered despair. Under those polar stars, Rain tried to steer her own course. Then February 2021 turned her world upside down. Billy's fatal seizure silenced the family's guiding compass. Ratings dipped, budgets shrank, and after season 14 in 2022, the series quietly concluded. Rain, 19 years old, bid farewell under a photo of the snow-buried Browntown cabin, leaving many to assume she was bound for city lights. Instead, she trekked with her kin to Washington's Okanogan Highlands, working to rebuild North Star Ranch on charred foundations. But off-grid utopia demands funds. Rerun royalties slowed to a trickle, while contracts worth $500,000 per episode vanished. By late 2023, Rain balanced waitressing shifts at a rustic diner near Chilean, Washington, where she met head chef Josiah Lorton. Tattoos, quick wit, and a habit of blessing every plate. They bonded over hymns and hash browns, and love bloomed under fluorescent kitchen lights. Fast forward to that fateful April afternoon. Investigators allege Rain forced her way into a shuttered lakeside cabin near Tanasquit, shattering antique glass and leaving over $25,000 in damage. Yet supporters argue the structure stood half-abandoned and claim Rain merely sought paperwork owed to her. One rumor even ties the cabin to her former manager, the very person she'd publicly accused of stealing $43,000. Whatever the truth, her arrest snapped the final link on the wilderness legend Billy spent decades building. Discovery executives issued a single-line statement: "We are monitoring developments." Sponsors for rerun deals hit pause. Tabloids hammered keyboards, declaring it the ultimate verdict on the Bush family's innocence myth. Online, two camps erupted overnight. One cited her devout posts and puppy-filled gratitude notes, insisting Rain lacked malice. The other dredged up clips of her challenging her father's rules, arguing that simmering rebellion had finally boiled over. Between them lay a third truth: grief, fame, and financial strain can twist judgment like polar night distorts time. By sunrise on April 14th, across TikTok, tearful edits of Rain's campfire songs collided with sarcastic memes, showing a cartoon bear behind bars. A Change.org petition demanding Discovery finance. Her defense soared to 10,000 signatures within 24 hours, while equal numbers clicked unsubscribe on rerun alerts, mumbling that the Browns had overstayed their welcome since the final episodes aired in late 2022. Amid the cacophony, one question looms: what chapter comes next in the saga of a family who once thrived beyond civilization's reach? The wilderness remains, untouched by handcuffs and headlines, and somewhere in its silent expanse lies Rain Brown's next frontier. Stay with me, because the verdict isn't over yet. It all seems so surreal. From a family that once symbolized rustic charm, living in harmony with the Alaskan wilderness, to this shocking turn of events. For many, it was impossible to reconcile the image of the innocent Rain, the sweet girl with a heart full of gratitude, always sharing scriptures and pictures of dogs, with the woman who now faced serious criminal charges. Fans who once admired her for her work ethic and positivity found themselves struggling to piece together the conflicting sides of her personality. In a world where images of happiness were once effortless, the cracks began to show once cameras stopped rolling. After the show's cancellation in 2022, Rain's online presence started to shift. Cryptic posts, dark reflections on loss and grief. Was it simply the weight of the family's financial struggles and her father's death weighing on her? Or did something more sinister begin to fester beneath the surface? Whatever the cause, the mystery surrounding her arrest only deepened as details began to leak. The cabin, abandoned and half destroyed, was the scene of the alleged crime. But why? Was it truly an act of desperation or a moment of poor judgment? As Rain and Josiah, now her husband, sat in county holding, awaiting their fate, the questions kept multiplying. Rain's fans, who had long admired her for her quiet resilience in the face of hardship, now found themselves divided. Some rallied behind her, insisting that she had acted with good intentions. Others couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the latest in a series of strange decisions that seemed to spiral out of control ever since the show's end. They'd seen the same struggle in the lives of her siblings: addictions, secret battles, emotional scars that never quite healed. Was this the breaking point for Rain too? But perhaps the most intriguing part of the entire saga is the quiet life that Rain had tried to carve out with Josiah. Their whirlwind romance, so private yet so publicized, was the kind of fairy tale that many hoped could restore some sense of peace to her fractured world. They had promised each other simplicity, away from the cameras, away from the spotlight. Josiah, the head chef, with his rugged charm and strong work ethic, seemed to be the calm that Rain had been searching for after years of turmoil. But as their relationship blossomed, so did the looming pressure of financial difficulties. The cabin renovation they had hoped would be a fresh start had instead led them down a darker path, one fraught with unanswered questions, and ultimately, the breaking of the law. At the heart of their troubles lay a fundamental struggle: Rain's desire to live up to her father's dreams for North Star Ranch, and the ever-present financial burdens that loomed over her every decision. Could she ever live up to her father's legacy while trying to stay true to herself? The tension between these conflicting desires may have driven her to act in ways that even she couldn't fully understand. As her former manager's accusations and unpaid royalties spiraled into a full-blown legal mess, the weight of her past choices became impossible to ignore. When the arrest finally occurred, it seemed like an inevitable collision of her past life and the reality of the future she had built with Josiah. Broken glass, damaged property, and accusations of an unpaid. Rain's journey, once so idyllic, now so tragic, wasn't just a personal one. It was the unraveling of a family's carefully curated public image. The Browns had always been an enigmatic symbol of survival and independence, but now they were being forced to face a reality that was anything but self-sufficient. And amidst all of this, Rain's response to her arrest, her quiet reflection in the face of overwhelming pressure, only added to the mystery. She had been the gentle voice on the show, the one who refused to compromise her beliefs even when faced with adversity. But now, as she stood in front of the media, she offered only a cryptic, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." It was as though she knew, on some level, that this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Josiah, too, seemed to be caught in the crossfire. The young chef, who had once been an outsider, now found himself at the center of a media storm that he never expected. From a quiet life in the restaurant industry to a very public spectacle, his journey mirrored Rain's in many ways. Yet unlike her, Josiah had little experience with the chaos of fame. How would he cope with the pressure? What toll would it take on their relationship, their business plans, and their future together? As the weeks passed and their legal battle loomed, the couple's future seemed uncertain. The cabin they had planned to turn into a retreat sat abandoned, its future tied to a web of debts and unfulfilled dreams. Would they be able to rebuild, or had the damage already been done? One thing was clear: the story of Rain and Josiah was far from over. The question now was not just whether they would survive the fallout, but how they would emerge from this tangled mess, their love and their dreams still intact. Rain's Instagram post was an attempt to steady herself amidst the storm. A simple white square, quoting Matthew 7, "Judge not, lest ye be judged," beneath which she shared a message. "It hurts my heart that my rainbows believe lies from someone who stole $43,000 from me." Those words would set the stage for an even larger battle. Rain was not just fighting a legal case, she was facing a battle for her reputation, her family, and her future. The person she accused, Ellis McGowan, was once a trusted ally, the man who helped secure brand deals and build her family's empire. But now he was the person Rain said had stolen from her, forging her signature on contracts and siphoning money that should have gone toward the ranch's upkeep. It was a betrayal that ran deep, and she wasn't going to let it slide quietly into the background. But McGowan wasn't backing down either. His team fired back with accusations that Rain was simply angry over audits, claiming that she was acting out of spite. The bombshell came when they leaked an email from Rain threatening McGowan with the words, "Return what you stole, or the mountain will speak." The media had a field day with this, taking the words out of context and turning them into something far more sinister. But it didn't end there. U.S. Weekly uncovered bank records showing a suspicious transfer from Rain's LLC to McGowan's consultancy, just under $43,000. The memo read, "Ad spend," but with no clear evidence of where the money had gone. The public was divided, and conspiracy theories began to take hold. Some people speculated that the cabin raid was a calculated move to ruin Rain's credibility ahead of a property battle. With rumors swirling, Rain retreated to North Star Ranch, hoping to find some peace amid the chaos. But peace was in short supply. Josiah took extra precautions, installing motion sensors, while Birdie prayed for clarity. But even within the family, tensions began to bubble to the surface. Some of her siblings feared that this legal battle would tarnish their image and jeopardize their chances of securing another season for their reality show. The Netflix revival that had once seemed like a sure thing was now uncertain. In a desperate bid to reclaim some semblance of control, Amy authorized one interview. It was with a regional radio host, Carla Dean, whose voice trembled as she spoke on behalf of her daughter. "My daughter is not a thief," Amy declared. "She's a survivor." The broadcast exploded online. Support poured in, but so did threats. One man, hiding behind a screen, promised to burn down North Star Ranch. Although law enforcement traced the threat to another state, the damage had already been done, and it lingered like smoke on the wind. Financial ruin loomed large. The Browns' once stable life was now crumbling under the weight of escalating costs. Their insurance premiums soared due to past fire damage, and Rain's countersuit required expert witnesses, each costing thousands of dollars. Ideas for saving the ranch came fast, but none were enough. Bam Bam suggested licensing old footage to educational platforms. Noah proposed selling a solar-powered water purification system he had designed. Bear even considered offering guided survival weekends, but the looming liability concerns from insurers kept them from moving forward. It was as though each idea was simply another way to patch up a sinking ship. Yet, in the dark corners of the internet, a different story began to take root. Rain Brown was becoming a folk hero in the eyes of many. Animated shorts depicted her swinging an axe, battling greedy corporations, and defending the land she loved. The phrase "final verdict coming soon" echoed over images of roaring campfires. Whether or not these narratives would sway a jury remained to be seen, but they certainly fueled the morale of her supporters. Hadn't arrived yet. But the judgment from the court of public opinion had been swift and unforgiving. Bush baby betrayal and final verdict coming dominated news cycles. Rain's once vibrant image was now reduced to one of scandal and suspicion. Even her former fans, those who once celebrated her survival skills, were now mocking her, cropping her out of old family photos. Discovery Channel, once eager to support them, had gone silent. Netflix had refused to comment. Sponsors erased her name from their campaigns without hesitation. Rain felt as if she had not only been arrested, but completely erased from the narrative she had once built. But there was worse to come. Whispered threats hung in the air like an ever-tightening noose. A deputy close to the case hinted that new charges could be on the horizon if investigators discovered more evidence tying Rain to the alleged burglary. Rain's legal team warned her that even if she won the criminal case, her reputation may never recover. It wasn't about evidence anymore. It was about perception, about how the world had already decided her fate long before any judge or jury could weigh in. After the meeting with her lawyers, Rain stepped outside alone. She stood on the cracked kitchen porch, the wind biting at her skin, and thought about the promises she had made as a little girl. Promises to live free, to live good, and to stay away from the poison of the outside world. But now, that poison had found her. The noise, the judgment, the relentless pressure. It was all too much. And in that moment, Rain knew that survival meant something entirely different now. It wasn't just about surviving on the land.